Hello there, Qckslvrslash here, and sorry I haven't had a video the last 2 days. Been a little hectic because I finally just picked up my new car. Been trying to find it at auction forever, and I finally found one, and then I had to import it, and it's here, and now I had to get it safetied and everything so that I can insure it. So that's been taking up a good chunk of my time the last 2 days. But I am back and just in time because 0.63 just went live. This, however, is a 0.62 game and potentially a swan song for the Zao. One of the things that makes the Zao so strong is her ability to sit at range and stealth fire. Now, of course, I am baiting with that statement. I don't fully agree with what they're doing to the concealment base or system, and I know I've stated mine. I think it should be based, the bloom duration should be based on gun caliber, so that there is a difference between, a battleship with massive guns and a destroyer with little 120s. But I've said it, it's here, and we have to live with it. So we've got to play with it. But before we do, just gonna live the glory days out in the Zao. And already you'll notice Be Alright, who is courteous enough to send this game in, isn't doing the typical Zao thing. He's been aggressive. You can see there, sure, he shoots the Amagi, it's outside detection, but other than one destroyer, he's the farthest thing forward on his team, and he is detected by aircraft. He's not doing the typical sit at the absolute edge of the map and shoot, and that's why I don't think this concealment system change is going to make that big a difference, because you can put yourself at ranges where you can still effectively engage a target, and they're not going to be able to hit you back. That Amagi can see him. That Amagi's not shooting him, and he's aiming at him. Here come the shells, but Be Alright's got a square head on his shoulders. He's maneuvering, he's altering his course, and you can see the Amagi shells missing by a mile. And that didn't require stealth fire. So that's part of why, I don't think the new system is going to hurt ships as much as some people kind of claim it is. Once again, I don't entirely agree with the change. I think it's a little bit more of a sledgehammer when a scalpel was needed, but it's here. But let's just enjoy the rest of the game. And already, Be Alright has managed just shy at 20,000 damage with that hit, 21,000. And one of the things that makes the Zao as good as she is a ship is the HE damage is very high. You'll notice he's only lit one fire and it's been put out. It's not ticking. This is damage from shells hitting. And if you've got 12 barrels worth of HE, you're gonna do damage. And that's just what he's doing. But the Amagi's no longer really the priority target. It's turned out, it's running away, there's new things to shoot at. And pretty confident he actually targeted the Qckslvrslash there rather than the Des Moines. I think that's more of a bug, but there the shells are, and well, 4 non-penetrating hits. That one hurts a little, and you've got to be worried because the Qckslvrslash for a second there had the guns almost pointing at Be Alright, but Be Alright is not spotted because there is this beautiful wall of smoke right in the middle of the map, breaking the lines of detection. There's no aircraft overhead to see him, so he's safe. And because of that, I'm going to use the decent rate of fire on these guns and the good damage to really just harass that Qckslvrslash. You can see he got another fire. The Qckslvrslash put it out right away, which is a critical mistake that a lot of battleship players make. One fire you can just let burn. It's not going to be so much damage that you're dead, but now he's wasted that damage control, and I can guarantee you with the number of things shooting at him, he's going to have another fire on his decks pretty soon, and probably more than one. Looks like one of the destroyers just got one, and hopefully Be Alright can get another here. Or, no, there isn't one going on his deck. Well, now there is. And now that fire is going to burn for duration. And if there's any more lit, that's all going to stack. So for those battleship players out there, my kind of rule of thumb is one fire, I hit my repair party. Your repair party will almost, not quite, but almost completely offset all the damage of the fire because all the fire damage is repairable. So you basically lose no health. You don't gain any health, but that completely offsets that first fire, allowing you to tank a little longer and have that second and third one lit before you use damage control. And something a little weird there with the zoom graphics. For a second I thought Be Alright had a spotting plane, but it looks like he may be just using shift to jump in and out of zoom to try to see over the island a bit, because you can sort of do that. It's a bit of a kind of bending the way the system works, but it's there. And once again, the Qckslvrslash has managed to put out a fire, and there's another one. The shell's landing, still doing damage, and Be Alright's already approaching 1,000 damage. And this whole game, well, most of this game, Be Alright has been spotted. And the reason he hasn't been getting shot at a lot isn't because things can't see him. It's because of his positioning. He's far enough away that it's kind of a losing prospect to try to take pot shots at him. And he's never driving in a straight line. If you were to draw the line on the map that he has taken, it is weaving all over. And that's exactly what you have to do in cruisers, in open water. If you've got an island or something you can shoot over, you're safe. Hard cover is amazing. Smoke, you're good. They can't see you. But when you are in open water, you can't afford to sit still. You can't afford to sail in straight lines. So by just maneuvering back and forth, continuously altering your rudder, even just a few degrees, is enough to throw shells off. And so far this match is dead even. Both have lost one destroyer. Be Alright's teams had the Bravo cap for a bit, but the enemies are pushing in, although that Montana, despite having some really good AA, is gonna be eating a lot of aerial drop torpedoes. Oh, getting wrecked there by them, in fact. And, well, Be Alright finishes them off. There is, however, still a Tashkent sitting in that smoke screen, capturing Bravo, and you've got to get in there. And the one thing I'll point out too that's probably had a pretty big impact on this game is this Khabarovsk. He was out on the flank, and I think he's part of the reason none of these ships pushed around to the south and decided instead to turn into B. And on trap, that's a really important fact. You can wind up in a lot of trouble if ships start rounding south of this island, just because you get in a crossfire situation. By forcing them down into B, all the enemies more or less stay to the north, one side of your ship. You can angle your armor, you can weave and dodge. And it's worked well so far. There's that Qckslvrslash, you can see starting to recover health. It's just more health for Be Alright to rip away from his cold dead hands. Tashkent gets spotted, so obviously going to be a primary target here. And looks to be completely stopped. I don't see any smoke coming out of his stacks. I think he probably felt he was immune sitting in that smoke, and Be Alright proves him wrong. I'm guessing this Des Moines was close enough and popped his radar, and that's what had him detected. And for destroyer players out there, you really have to be cognizant of that little icon that pops up when you're on radar. You cannot afford to sit perfectly still. Now, I know radar only lasts, kind of 30 seconds. You can more or less remain in your smoke if you want, but at least start moving forward or backwards a bit. Use that space you hopefully created when you laid the screen to make it just a little more difficult to hit you than sit still and just shoot until death comes. And still, the game is pretty much a dead heat. 2 destroyers and a battleship killed on each team. The points aren't really that disparate. The one thing I would say that's setting this apart is that Qckslvrslash, low health. This de Grobe, 1/3 of health. This Zhao, pretty low health. And that all starts to add up. And when you look at Be Alright's team, he's got a couple ships that are a little hurt, but not nearly as much as those enemies. The Zhao just got killed. This de Grosser is gonna get wrecked. He's in the open. He's got 2 cruisers. shooting at him. Well, at least the Zhao is. I think the Des Moines is hidden and just trying to slip away and stay alive. And there is the Wither Metal, as he just continues to work ships down. Up to 10 fires now, 142,000 damage. And swaps to AP, lands a great hit, almost 5,000 damage. And the fires should finish that degrosser off, or the Des Moines does before his fire can tick over. And I really do think that's an important thing that BL Wright did there. Had a couple fires going, swap to AP. It's gonna do damage. You don't have to keep firing HE once something's really burning. Even if you're in something like a Qckslvrslash that has small guns for its tier. Once you get kind of 2 fires going, try a round or 2 of AP. See if it works, especially if they're flat on, because you'd be surprised the damage you can do, and that 5,000 damage hit is very respectable. And speaking of Qckslvrslash, well, this one is in trouble. He's charging in at that Des Moines, who, granted, is on lower health than the Qckslvrslash, but he fails to account for BL Wright, landing 1 Citadel, taking about 1/3 of his health. Doing a good job, though, bowing at that Des Moines. You can see the shells ricocheting down his side. Unfortunately, the Des Moines is doing just as good a job. So the ship that's going to make the difference here is BL Wright. And 1 good hit could end this fight. Good Citadel and hit. That's over for him, and he almost gets him 13,000 damage there, leaving him just a tiny bit. He's on 27, and the carrier finishes him off. Meanwhile, that Amagi from the start of the game just gets finished off by their cab, and now things are looking a lot better. They finally kind of run away with the kills. The damage they'd built up started to take a toll on the enemy team. But it's not time to call it a game just yet, because this Yamato is burning. It's pinned between a Des Moines, a Montana, and, well, the destroyer's out there somewhere. So definitely something to be wary of. And he may have dodged all those torpedoes, but the torp bombers are coming in. That enemy CV smells an easy target. Now BL Wright pops his fighter, hoping it can help, and he's actually caught 2 of them. He's got the skill that gives him a pair, and they don't get there in time for the drop, and you can see it. That probably spells the Yamato's game. Well, he gets away with it. 4,000 hit points. That Montana, though, just has to land 1 hit, and he'll be able to even it up. Unfortunately, I think this enemy aircraft carrier just got complacent with his positioning. And you see this a little too often in games. The carrier probably felt pretty safe at sea and was just sitting up behind an island. Didn't really react to what was happening in the match, and what was happening is his team was getting rolled, and now he's too close. He's getting shot at by BL Wright. The Shima gets spotted. BL Wright's guns are aiming at the target. 1 volley should finish this Shima off if it hits good. It takes about half his health. Meanwhile, that cab is just working over the Hackaroo. And, well, I don't think BL Wright's going to let this Shima get away. And it's too bad for the Shima, because it's a good ship if it can stay undetected, and he disappears. And this is where you want your own CV to be on his game. He was just unspotted. The fighters that are there in the air, the friendly CV's just got to direct them up just a little bit north of his last known position and respot him for BL Wright, and then the DD threat is gone. Unfortunately, he doesn't. He pulls them back to a more defensive position, and I think that really does let the Shima get away unscathed. And, well, unfortunately for the Hack, that means he's the only target that's spotted. BL Wright gets a pair of fires with the first volley. The Hack quickly puts them out, and, well, this second one is probably going to spell his game off, because I can only imagine there's going to be a fire. There it is, and that one's going to burn for duration. And hopefully they can kill him before these torpedoes get here. BL Wright's turning, the shells are flying. Is he going to eat it? Ooh, just ducks under right as the shipment gets redetected, and he kills the hack. And ultimately, a great performance by Be Alright. 407,000 credits, 5,200 experience, Witherer, Confederate, 205,000 damage, 3 kills, and really kind of just held down the middle of the map. Trap can be a difficult map to play, and just with good positioning and honestly just never driving in straight lines, Be Alright managed to work over a large portion of the enemy team and really kept them from getting a stronghold in Bravo. Because had they been able to push into Bravo, get behind that island, they become a lot harder to uproot. And ultimately, I don't think this new patch is going to change how this ship plays. I think it is still a good contender and a good ship to drive. So for those of you who think Wargaming has yet again, ruined things, I'd just take another look. Let's not make this another RPF fiasco. And look at the experience there. Clearly coming out on top of his team, and just nothing to complain about. The 3 kills isn't a ton, but the damage he got on some very deadly battleships really made the difference for his own team in this game, and that's what the experience represents. I had someone on Reddit complaining when they got a Kraken that they were sub 2,000 experience, and ultimately it's because they didn't make enough difference in the other areas. I saw their post battle stats, and they had 3 kills where they did a couple hundred damage to the ship. They were kill stealing or kill securing. I think it's safe to say that Be Alright didn't do that here. 23,000 damage to the Hawkaroo, 18,000 to that Montana. No, sure, 2,000 to the Tashkent, but 64,000 to that Kurfürst, and it just kind of goes on from there. It's doing large amounts of damage to a large portion of the enemy team, and that's what made the difference. Anyways, thank you, Be Alright, for sending this in. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, consider giving it a thumbs up or subscribing to the channel. And as always, I'm Qckslvrslash, and I'll have another one for you guys later.